Hello, leader. I'm happy to have you here with me today as we kick off a brand new series taking us through the summer. Our recent series was all about conversations about life and leadership, a bit of a personal spin on a variety of topics that we all move through and experience as leaders. And this new series is all about team development. And I'm bringing on a few clients to share their insight too in some upcoming episodes. So what are we diving into today? Well, how about this? What if one of the riskiest hires you ever make isn't a stranger, but someone you've worked with before? A former coworker, a person who already knows your industry, who already knows your standards, and a person who feels like a sure thing. But wowzers, this often goes sideways. And I'm not afraid to uncork the very real issues that can spill over and create chaos in your business. So today, we're talking about why hiring former coworkers can be incredibly successful or incredibly costly, and the questions every business owner should ask before bringing someone from their past into their future. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. If your business has grown and your team has grown, but it still feels like too much depends on you, this is your podcast. I'm your host, Shelli Warren. Each week, you'll get practical leadership strategies to help you build leaders, create more accountability across your whole team, and stop being the default decision maker in your business. Because your business should be able to grow without requiring more of you. So let's get to it with this reminder. The team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. Let's go. Hiring a former coworker often feels safer than hiring a stranger. But what makes them a great coworker doesn't automatically make them a great team member in your business. In fact, some of the biggest leadership headaches I see start with things that sound like this. I worked with her before. We've known each other for years. I already knew exactly what I was getting. And then a few months later, I don't know how to hold her accountable. Wow, she's asking for so much. So what's happening here? Well, the business owner thought that familiarity with the person meant that it would be a guarantee of a good fit. But familiarity isn't the same thing as fit. Now, to be fair, hiring former colleagues isn't always a bad idea. In fact, team member referrals and known candidates often outperform traditional applicants. Referral hires tend to stay longer, integrate faster, and often perform better than candidates sourced through job boards. Why? Well, because they feel obligated to the person who referred them to that job opportunity, and they don't want to let them down. So this isn't an episode about avoiding former coworkers. It's about understanding the unique risks that come with familiarity. Here's what I mean by risks. First step, you never actually led them before. Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes business owners make. They confuse I worked beside them with I know how they'll perform when I'm their boss. But those are two completely different experiences. As peers, you saw them show up, interact with customers, and you saw them contribute. But you never coached them, managed them, corrected them, nor did you likely have to hold them accountable. So the first time you ask them to change something may be the first time you've ever truly tested that relationship. And that's when sticky things are revealed. Here's the second risk that I see that messes up the effectiveness of building a team with former coworkers. They think they're joining the old version of you. This is especially common for women who leave corporate roles and build successful businesses. Now, your former colleagues remember who you were, how you worked, and how decisions got made. But it's 5 years later, and your business has grown. So have you. You have different priorities, higher standards, bigger expectations, and you're less tolerant of drama. But they arrive expecting the version of you that they knew way back when. Meanwhile, you're expecting them to step into a version of the business you have now and who you are now as a leader. When this is happening, both of you are operating from outdated assumptions. Here's something else that I see, oh my gosh, too many times. You decide to leave and strike out on your own. Your peers at work are so excited for you. Some of them ask to come along and you think, hey, this will be great because I don't have to go through a hiring process. So, because all of you have corporate expectations for compensation and benefits, you, the business owner, start them out with corporate equivalent salaries. Yikes! Now you've got a brand new business that you're trying to get off the ground with all the expenses, maybe even a loan, and high payroll that you're hoping will work out when your clients start filling up your schedules. But what if that doesn't happen as quickly as you thought it would? And what if your team members do not consider finding clients part of the job because they never had to do it before back in their corporate role? Yikes again! So much pressure is on you to find the clients, build the brand, build the reputation, learn the whole back office system structure for a small business, and make payroll. So many small business owners have crushing payroll commitments, and it makes it even harder for them because they took these people away from their former jobs and offered them a new one without truly knowing whether the business would succeed. Another risk of hiring people who you used to work with? Here it is. The special relationship problem. Here's what I mean by that. The minute, and I mean the minute, you hire someone you already know, everyone else notices. Not because they're jealous, but because they're watching. They want to know, will standards apply equally to them? Will accountability be the same for them? Will you give feedback to them like you give feedback to everyone? Now, anything that looks like favoritism can hurt morale and trust when there seems to be an overlap between work and personal relationships. This creates a leadership burden most owners underestimate, and it can damage your reputation, especially if you live in a small city. What else should you consider? How about this? The history makes feedback hard. Imagine you've known someone for 15 years. You attended weddings, industry conferences, retirement parties, and team celebrations together. Now you're sitting across from them, explaining why their performance isn't meeting expectations. That conversation feels completely different than it does with a stranger. Many business owners delay sharing this kind of feedback because they don't want to damage the friendship. They don't want that awkwardness, and they certainly don't want the person to quit. So what happens? The problem gets bigger, resentment grows, and the rest of the team notices. Then there's this risk. You hire their reputation instead of their current capability. Now, let me explain this. This is one of the most expensive assumptions in a business, and it sounds like this. She was amazing when we worked together. Maybe, but that was 10 years ago. People change, skills change, the industry has changed, technology certainly has changed, and motivation changes with everyone as they move into different seasons of their life. The person you remember may not be the person that you're thinking about hiring. This is particularly relevant for service-based businesses where systems, software, client expectations, AI tools, documentation requirements, and communication standards have evolved dramatically in just the last few years. Will this person keep up? Will they stay out in front of it all or expect to be cushioned from anything uncomfortable, expecting you to give them a break because you know them so well? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, Shelli, you've officially made me nervous about hiring someone I already know, that's not my actual goal. Some of the best hires I've ever seen started as former coworkers. So the goal isn't to avoid these people as new hires. The goal is to avoid hiring them for the wrong reasons. When you feel overly familiar with someone, you can skip steps that you would never skip with a complete stranger. So before you send that text message, make that offer, or assume this person is your perfect next hire, here are a few questions worth asking yourself first. Here's a list of questions to ask before hiring a former coworker. So instead of asking yourself, did we work well together? Ask this: would I hire this person if I'd never met them? Have they demonstrated the skills my business needs today? Can I comfortably coach them? Can I comfortably terminate them if necessary? Will my current team view this hire as fair? And am I hiring evidence or just some nice memories that I've had? That last question is often the most important. Taking the time to answer these questions can save you from one of the most expensive hiring mistakes you will ever make. Now, a few of my clients have had success with hiring people who they used to work with, but the reason they worked out so well wasn't because they were familiar with them. It's because the business owner treated them like every other candidate. They interviewed them, they assessed them, they checked their references, they clarified expectations, especially around compensation and hours of work. And here's another important point. They hired the person standing in front of them today, not the person that they remembered from years ago. And that's the difference between making a strategic hire and making an emotional one. But before we end this conversation, I want to give a shout out to my clients who have had the courage and the confidence to fire a former coworker. I've had some clients who I am so proud of because they did their due diligence to coach the person to turn their performance around, but the person simply didn't want to change, grow, or do anything differently. Tough situations for sure, and I'm glad I was there to support them through it, but oh so worth it to let them go and start fresh with someone who was a better fit. Each of my clients trusted that they had treated their former coworker with dignity and respect and held them accountable to performance standards, just like any other team member on her payroll. This is the work that leaders do. If you've made it through to the end of this episode, bravo! That tells me that you're primed to expand your leadership skills. Summer can be a perfect time to strengthen your leadership capacity and elevate the performance of your whole team. For many service-based businesses, schedules shift during the summer. Client cancellations increase, people delay getting started with you because they want to wait till the fall, and team members often have more space on their calendars for professional development and those deeper conversations that are hard for you to prioritize during your busy season. Because of that, I'm opening up a limited number of spots for leadership intensive days. Leadership intensive days are for business owners like you. I'm also offering a limited number of custom virtual team workshops this summer. Now, these sessions are all designed to help you use the slower season strategically so you head into the fall with stronger leadership, clearer expectations, and a more capable team. Just pop over to stackingyourteam.com/summer to get all the details.
This is Ellie. Come back next Tuesday. My Mimi will have another episode for you.